So Dove, what would you say your inspiration for making films is? Like, what writer,
Yeah.
director, producer are you inspired by?
Um, it's like I like obviously like Wes Craven when like because since the Stalker is based off the Scream franchise, so obviously yeah, Wes Craven has been a big inspiration. Like I love the Scream movies. I love A Nightmare on Elm Street. It's also with the first Stalker, a big inspiration I had with part one and coming into part two what was Eli Roth, director of Cabin Fever, Hostel Part One and Two, and House with a Clock in its Walls, and last year's Haunt as well. And he's a director I really admire. I really like his directing style. I think he has a very risky take to all of his movies, and I think he goes into territories that not many horror movies, I guess, go into. So I think that's something I've always admired. I've always admired like directors. I've always admired directors that take risk and that do something different that will surprise people. So
Yeah. Would you say there's a little bit of risks in this movie, or?
yeah, like with part two, yeah, definitely, because it's like the way we structured part two. We've structured it as a puzzle. Like you have to like be paying attention because and just like the way sequences are edited together, it's left up to the viewer's imagination, which that's something I really feel like horror has left out is the imagination of what happens both before and after. And so that's something that we really do here is it's left up to the viewer's imagination at what would they do if they're in this type of situation.
Hmm, hmm.
Hey,
How long
so
have you
I
been
got two
filming the movie?
questions.
Yeah, I know.
I got two
Yeah,
questions. I
Cole,
got two
go.
questions. So
Yeah.
I know we already talked about this, but I think people would want an explanation as to why it took 3 years and exactly the amount of work you did put in.
Yes, wait,
But
so
I know we talked about this.
yeah, so wait, are we talking about part two here or part one?
The
Part
part
two.
two, the
Part two,
part
yeah.
two.
Part two, yeah, okay. What took 3 years is like okay, I'm going to answer. I'm going to compare both Stalker films here. So, the reason why part one took 3 years is like actually I honestly have no good reason for that. Part two, my reason here is because we didn't want to just make the same mistake as the first one. We actually took the criticism of the first one and we took that into consideration when when writing the script and uh, when writing the script and over the course of like 12 months, over the course of a whole year, we kept on going back into the script and changing and fixing up certain problems that we think could expand more and could be better. And so I think that's something that I've working on part two that I've heavily regretted with part one is I feel like one of the reasons why part one failed is because there wasn't enough planning or thought going into it. And if I was to make part two, I really wanted to make those 3 years or however long it did take to make part two. I really wanted to really make a much better film.
Yeah. Is so. I'm assuming because a lot of people got upset that the runtime was really really short in the first one. So
Yes.
is
Yeah.
the runtime how longer would
It's
you say the runtime is
yeah.
looking for the
It's
second?
yeah. I have talked to people about this, and I will say what I've said to them. I can't say exact what the runtime is, but there will be an announcement for that coming over the next couple of months. But what I've told other people is that I think fans will really like this runtime. That's what I'll say for that.
That sounds really promising.
Yeah,
Uh, is it
yeah,
is it
I hope it is. I hope people
is
do
it
like this runtime.
yeah, yeah, is it having like an HBO Max release or something?
um, uh, I yeah, like to be honest, like I wish these talk films could have a theatrical release, but like legally, I don't think I can because like these are based on existing material, and the only way I can I guess I can legally get away with this is if it's for entertainment purposes only, and I get no profits from it. But I think if I was to make this an original
Yeah.
film myself, I would want a theatrical release. So
Yeah. That
but
that
this
sounds
still
that sounds
yeah.
cool. And
Are you going to wait for feedback until future projects, or are you already thinking of that?
As like I haven't like part two's not released, so I can't really say what people will think. But uh, what I can say about that is like there's stuff in part two that I think people like not everybody will agree on, and not everybody will see where I'm coming from. Like there's one scene in particular which I can't talk about because we've actually kept this scene away from marketing and we haven't told anyone. But it is a big scene in part two. And it is a big scene in part two. So like all I can do is just wait until people see the film to hear feedback. But I think feedback is always helpful. Like for me, like with part one, the feedback people said like that was very helpful feedback when writing the script. It actually made part two, like I'd say, a much better film. I will talk about Isaac. He is really good to work with, and he's much better in
yeah.
part two than he is in part one.
Oh, really? Really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's really good in this one. He has a really
Mhm.
strong, compelling character in this one.
Oh.
Isaac plays the character of Ben, which is the main character's
Mm.
best friend. And so for a large majority of the film, there's a bond and there's a banter building with them. Like
Mhm.
this film is more about friendship and friendship betrayal
Mhm.
when two friends are like when one friend goes behind another's back, and what that results
Yeah.
in case I can't really say. But yeah, that's
Yeah.
something that was really important, was the characters dynamic and the conversations, and just really making them
Mhm.
different from each other.
Mm. Mm.
That was important to us, and that was something that we constantly did change
Yeah.
when writing this scripts. And it's I think the payoff to it I think is really good.
Yeah. Did anybody or anything? Oh, sorry. Uh, can you? Is it good? Okay. Sorry. I got a
Yeah, see
notification.
you.
Um, did anybody or anything try to get in the way of your vision
Any
or
hindering of the film?
yeah.
It's yeah, like Mike, who he's voicing the Stalker in the film, like very early on, I'd say, like in production, well, in pre-production, his company, Death Valley Productions, I believe it was at the time, he was involved in the writing process, and so there was something that I wasn't 100% keen on, and so like that there was a fight, like oh like I was against it, he was for it, and that's something that went on for like maybe like 2 months, and so I think the thing about like I think the thing about like I think the thing about my vision is I think it's all about like fighting and until you actually get what you want, because I think that's how it works a lot in the filmmaking process. Is yes, you have to convince the person to like you have to convince them for why it should be here, or what purpose it serves. And so like in the end Mike won, and like when you see the film you'll see that scene. But like I think over time I have came to like where he's coming from, even though I'm still not entirely like hooked on it, since it is the final film. Like I can't publicly really talk about it here, but that's as far as I can say about that. Exactly, and that's what I was like saying before, like about like how you actually have to pay attention, because like I absolutely hate it when films, when they tell you what's happening, what's going to happen next.
Right.
I hate that with a passion. I can't stand watching that on
Mm.
screen. And I hate when horror films do that. And so with part two, It's
It's just
everything.
ending.
Yeah, like everything you are saying, it's all in the frame somewhere, but you just have to look, because it's not, because this is something I said to Finn, who is the main character, when we were filming. I told him, show, don't tell. So everything that you're saying, it's in the frame. You just have to, look. And that's my style of like filmmaking. And I've talked to people that like that, some do disagree on me, and that some do disagree on that, and some do agree on that. But like for me, I think that's the best type of like filmmaking. It's the stuff that you when you leave the film, like you think about it, and then when you go back to it, you pick up more stuff than you did the first viewing. I think that's what part 2 is in this case. Is it's a film you have to, like, you can't just watch it in one viewing. You actually have to go back like a second and a third time, and then you'll pick up more details. And that's the type
It's
of film
engaging.
I've made out. That's what I mean by like the story is structured out like a puzzle, and you just have to put those puzzle pieces together.
So this is the final chapter for the Stalker, correct?
Oh yeah, for sure. Like the way this one ends, there's no way that we can make a third film. I'm going to let you in on a little secret here. Like, these plans have been tossed away since, but there were talks of a third film, but then like the thing I did realize about these Stalker films is that they're all very like reality based, and so a third film, it would be hard to continue and keep the charm of what this one is and what the first one is.
You don't want to kill it.
The same. Exactly. Yeah, it wouldn't be the same, and I don't want to kill it. So that's why I'm not really going back to making the third one.
Do you think of moving on to a different genre after this? Maybe a superhero movie?
Yeah, it's like horror, I feel like is where I'm passionate, and that's something that I feel like I do really well. And I to answer your question, like, I do want to try other genres. Like comedy is one I really want to do. Action is something I really wanted to do, and I have written scripts for comedy and action, but it's really hard to make them
nail. Yeah.
All right, so I also have a question.
Sure.
Have you ever seen those videos on YouTube where it's almost choose it yourself, and you make multiple different videos? Don't stop fucking laughing.
Ask the question again. You gotta ask it again. it again.
Nah, you can't laugh now and then get angry when I show fucking Sonic 4.
Wait, okay, cool. What's the question?
All right. Have you ever seen those videos, almost a choose it yourself style, where there's multiple videos and you click on the one you choose?
Oh yeah, I could hear you.
You can hear me. All right, did you get what I said?
Yes, I did. No, I have not seen those videos. Like I like to go with a genre that I know a lot about, and then just kind of flow with that. And also on top of the Stalker Part 2, I also have another film coming out this year, which I am producing, which is a Halloween fan film called The Haddonfield Nightmare, directed by Braden Timmons. So and that film is amazing as well. So
all right, so you're not ready to get
is that coming out before the Stalker or after?
I'm not really sure. There is not the release date confirmed yet, so I can't really say whether or not it is or isn't. But Stalker Part 2 is definitely coming out this year. So
me and you have discussed viewing off camera why the Stalker Part 1 was so short. And you told me that a lot of the footage had to be cut because of why did the footage have to be cut again?
It's okay, how do I put this? there is a large majority of part one. There was a large majority of part one that we did not shoot. Like the way part one ended, which I can say that now, is the part one ended with the stalker dying, and so there was no way of making a sequel, and so there was at least like act two and act three of part one we did not film. But part one, like I filmed as much as I could, but I'm actually kind of glad I ended the extended cut where I ended it, because without that ending, we wouldn't have part two, and that's I'm very grateful. And I'm very grateful for that opportunity.
Cole, do you hear him good?
Yeah, I can hear him. He's fine.
Oh, okay. No, you were cutting out on my end. My bad. Sorry.
Right. So yeah, and like there was so much of part one. There was so much of part one that we did not shoot. That was just in the script. We shot like maybe half of act one, and then that was about it.
and the whole movie was just act one.
Yeah.
So wait, are you saying that part two is just a continue? Of course, it's a continuation. Yeah. But is it a continuation of the first one's script? So does the stalker die in the end?
It's that I can't say, but the ending to part two is very tragic, because some of the best horror movies, like to me, like they don't leave the viewer feeling good. They leave them feeling very, very on edge. Like a lot of like some experiences I've had in the past with Texas Chainsaw, like Massacre the original, for the first time, and when I watched The Exorcist, like those are films that I have a lot of memories with, because when I watched them, it left a feeling in me that I could not get out. I remember feeling so disturbed. Like I honestly felt I just saw people were getting murdered. That's how I felt.
Was sparked.
Yeah, and so part two, I wanted to kind of capture that feeling of what I think a horror movie on how it should end, and I feel like we've really captured that. So
yeah, I think something a lot of people were upset about in the first one was that the film is called The Stalker, but he barely stalks.
What? Yes. What do you mean by that?
Like he does like the phone call,
yes,
and then
exactly.
he cuts the power, and then he just goes in and just kills him, right? Or tries to kill you.
Well, he already talked about it.
Yeah,
he's not a big fan of it.
Yeah, and I can talk a little bit more. I can talk a little bit more about that for part two. Part two, to answer your question, like some of that applies over to part two. Like it's like the stalker isn't the type of character is like as soon as he sees someone stab. Like he doesn't like to kill people like as soon as he sees them. He likes to, what's the word? He likes to get in their mind.
Mess with them.
First.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, that's something that we are diving more into in part two. We're diving more into
is it psychological terror like in the Saw movies?
It's first off, I like how you brought Saw into that. I like that. It's no, I wouldn't really say it's psychological, but we more expand on both who the stalker is, like who the stalker is in the mask and underneath the mask. So we kind of dive into both perspectives and how there's a different mindset, and how he got that far.
Right. But you're always keeping that mystery.
About the
mystery.
Yeah, Doug. You know what? After you said that about the how the Stalker Part 1 is only a third of the movie, I think after this interview comes out, I think #release the Dove cut is going to become a thing.
We don't want more controversy, do we?
Release the movie.
I like the sound of that. It's but let me tell you something. Like, I would not want to make the rest of part one, and here's my reason for it: is because part two we do a better job on that than part one would ever be. Part one compared to part two, part two is a masterpiece compared to part one. Like part one is complete shit compared to
Cole had actually started and directed in a film that never came out. I think a few years ago, I put a poll on Twitter, and
True.
I said, "Which film are you looking more forward to, The Stalker Part II or Dipshits, The Saviors of Humanity?"
Yeah, I
And
got a lot of shit on
yeah.
that. Got a lot of shit on
yeah,
that.
and
And
100% said The Stalker Part II.
yeah, like, and that's what people should be saying. Part two is fantastic.
Fuck the Dipshits movie, right?
Seriously, I didn't even.
Hey, like I don't want to give shit to like any other movie, like people release it, sure, but like it's like I'm just doing what I love here. I don't really I'm just doing this for like
Yeah.
for the love of filmmaking, for the love of for my horror passion and all
Process.
that.
Right.
Mhm.
So next
Right,
question.
Nice, dude.
Yeah,
Well, shit.
that
Now I
sounds
want to make my
sounds really
movie.
good.
I want to finish my shit.
Hey, Cole,
Yeah.
like if you want to make it like sure, but like it's like I feel like how long have you been working on yours for?
Me? Not at fucking all. It was like a empty promise. It was.
Oh, yeah.
I was thinking about
He
it, but I
started
never did it.
production. He started production and ended production like 4 years ago.
Yeah, real fucking quick. I dropped that shit.
Yeah, right.
These movies have both been a long time coming, but
Oh yeah,
by
like
the
your
time
part, your
the
part two,
movie is
like
released,
it's a
it'll
reason.
be 4 years it took to make.
Yeah, like but
Yeah.
part two, like it has a reason
Yeah.
for it to be
Oh.
3 years in planning.
Is it,
Yeah,
is it
mine
4
doesn't.
hours
Mine does
long?
not. I dropped
Yeah,
that.
it's part two. It's actually here's something I can tell you. It's very different from the first one. It's very different in the way where it's more of a character driven story, while the first one was more of just an action packed get right to the point kind of
Yeah.
film. Part two, it takes a while.
It builds up and it has
Yeah, exactly.
depth.
Which
Oh yeah.
and that's something I feel like I had to do this time around, like because I promised people with part two that there would be better characters, and so
Yeah.
like as much as I've said that we've structured this like a puzzle, it's also like the first act is a character building act, so you're more just kind of getting to know them. I can't say too much about the first act, but yeah, this is definitely a character story from beginning to end. And that was something that Finn and I like are both very proud of.
Yeah.
Another thing I can share, and because I did want to bring them up in this interview as well, is that our music for this film is actually like original. Like we have our own composer composing the music for this one, which we are really lucky to have them. We have Luke and Amelia doing the music, and we are just like so like I'm very lucky this time around to have the people involved in this that I do, because part one, like it was really just Isaac and I doing everything really, and Jack did the cinematography, but like part two, it's a much bigger cast and crew. It's a much bigger cast and crew like of people this time around. There's a lot more actors involved in it. There's and since it's the final chapter, like I know that's the other thing I want to have to bring up is like this film. It had to be longer than the first one, because like it's the final film to actually fully like dive into all these questions, and the questions that I set up with the first one, like who is the stalker, who is that guy under the mask at the end of the first one, like those questions, like I had to answer, and I had to give like good reasoning for them, and it's like yeah, the payoff to this one I think is massive.
All that and more, and you will find this inside the film, the Stalker Part
Nice.
2 final chapter.
Woo!
And
Thank you very much.
you can find
man.
the Doves movie reviews. You can find his YouTube channel at what?
Man.
At Dove's Movie Reviews over on YouTube. I recently actually uploaded like 2 reviews this morning. One was for like Shadow in the Cloud, and then like another for what is it like? And one for like Exist, which is like a documentary Bigfoot
Holy
movie.
shit. You're pumping it
Yeah.
out.
Yeah, there's like I have
Well,
Jimmy reviews up.
yeah.
Check them
You a
check them out.
sweatshop portrait?
He's just pumping out content, guys. So go
like
check
exactly,
him
like
out.
yeah, like I don't upload as much as I used to. Like I used to upload maybe
He's a
like
filmmaker now, guys.
like exactly like a lot of my
Yeah.
time is going to the Stalker Part II because I want to make it like as good as I can for people. I feel like I owe that to people, and that's what people will get. So
We hope you stay safe and all the viewers stay safe. Yeah.
Bye,
Peace out.
sweetheart.
yeah, see you, Sam. Thanks for doing this.